Okay.
All right. Today we've got Steve Gowin. Is it Gowin or Gowin?
Going, just like you're going somewhere.
Gowin. Steve Gowin, who is a former Army sergeant. He's the chief administrative officer and instructor for the Washington State Tactical Officers Association. He's been the deputy sheriff for King County Sheriff's Office for 23 years. He's the team leader for the SWAT team for King County for over 18 years. He's a consulting instructor for the U.S. Department of State. He's also the owner of his own company, Targeted Motivational Engagement, or 3 Arrow TME. And he's also an author. Welcome to the podcast, my friend. I'm excited to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So before we jump into it, you've got a really extensive background and it looks, you've been in leadership for a very long time. Tell us a little bit about how you got to the position you're at and kind of what motivated you to go into law enforcement.
My father, my dad was a cop for 36 years. Growing up with it, I grew up in Central California, and I cowboyed and I rodeoed and I junior rodeoed, and I wanted to be a pro rodeo. And my dad kind of got me talking and kind of pushed me to go to the military. So I got in the military, but all along I knew I wanted to be a cop.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and that was one of the things I left out on your bio. I saw you're also a cattle owner.
Yeah.
And so that kind of just fits in. Is that just kind of like a hobby or like kind of a lifestyle thing you like to do?
It's a lifestyle thing. I grew up doing it. And I wanted to raise my kids around the same environment I was in. So
Yeah.
For raising kids.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And that kind of goes into kind of how you're an author, because your book is called Your Greatest Investment: Raising Strong Kids Through Family Foundation. And I've heard, from our mutual friend that you have a couple awesome daughters who are also very competitive in CrossFit. Is that right?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the book, and then tell us about kind of the basis of that and why you wrote that book.
I've talked my whole life with kids and other people, and I got things along the way through the military, through my father, and I'm a big mindset kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to always say, "You can do it if you want to." So most people possess the ability to do something, they just don't want to do it, or they don't want to commit it. So along the way, through all that stuff, I've always just thought, raising the girls, I've been told, "Hey, you're doing it wrong," or "Hey, they shouldn't be lifting weights," or "Hey," and I always knew the end product that I wanted. Now that's me in my career, that's me with my family, and that's me with the girls. I've always known the end product, the long-term objective.
Yep.
Just keep striding for it. So I wrote the book. It's very brief. It's not very long, but I'm a very direct, and I try to look at life pretty simple, although we enter complex problems along the way through life. But I like to come up with easy solutions or easy ways to get stuff done. So, because simplicity, everyone understands that. Complex, not everyone does. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's a cool perspective. Jocko Willink is one of my favorite authors as well, and is one of my favorite people and motivators. And I think that people like you and Jocko have something very unique to offer as far as mindset and even business advice based on your experiences at in high level teams and very high stress teams as well. What principles have you applied to your own business and just throughout your life that you learned through your time in the military and law enforcement?
Again, like I said, I look at things very simply. I look at what is the task and task completion.
Mm-hmm.
What skills do you need to complete the task? So if you want to raise your business of raising cattle, well, you need a pregnant cow to produce a calf, right?
Yeah.
So then you got to reach out and you got to get a bull every year, and then you just keep growing. Things start to look the same no matter what the job is or what you're trying to do. And I use these when I do my motivational stuff. I work with clients and we write down objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just identified what they want, and then we either build them skills or we take approach but it's through their action. And we just hit the objective, and we look for task completion. So that's with the girls, with their lifting, their competitiveness, it's all task completion.
Yeah. So just looking for things that need to be done and then just getting them done. And that, I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people get stuck in just like trying to think of like how to complete it, but no one ever creates that like checklist. And that's, you know, kind of a military thing as well. Like, you know, if I don't know if you ever read Checklist Manifesto, and you know how much that checklist have improved things like, you know, aviation. Like, you know, there's so many more crashes before checklists were created in flying. And I think that's a really good thing to point out. Um, since you've been in a leadership role for so long, you know, over 3 decades, really, what do you think the keys to effective leadership are?
Again, man, I mean, everyone has their own little twist on leadership. I look at simplicity. How do you motivate a bunch of people
Yeah.
to hit the same objective? You know, and there's just there's so many styles of leadership, but
Hmm.
we're all trying to saying the same thing. We're trying to get the task completed.
Yep.
We're trying to motivate our guys, and you give them the ability to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something simple that you need done, like on a mission or a target, and you let your guys do it. They've got the skills to do it. You spot check along the way. You stay out mentally. You let them do it, and it's a micro macro kind of intertwining thing between the team and you, and you're a part of the team also. I mean, you're not completely isolated from them. Where
Yeah.
some people act as leadership, and then that's where you build that riff, and they don't like their leaders because they don't do any part with the team.
Yep.
And if you believe in your people and you give them the skills to complete a task, they'll surprise you. Human
How do
nature.
you how do you think you give people the confidence to be able to complete those tasks though? You know, because like I think leadership, obviously, like you're talking about, is getting your team to complete tasks. But you know, there's like a certain amount of is it training? Is it, you know, is it positive reinforcement? Like, do you use any specific tactics to get people to believe that they can complete tasks and have the mindset that they're capable of doing it?
Everyone in the world operates on opportunity.
Yeah.
How do you become great? You were given the opportunity to become great, right? And you still got to work hard, and it's not easy, but you're given the opportunity.
Yep.
That's why so many people want to come to the US. So it's in my book. I talk about building confidence in kids.
Yeah.
It is no different than building confidence in adults. It's the same thing. You give them the skills to complete tasks. So you teach them skills. So as an adult, you're not really there to teach them everything because they have a lot of understanding now, complex problem solving.
Hmm.
You give them the opportunity to go to a school. Now, a bad leader would say, hey, I have a breacher school coming up. I've been a breacher for 8 years or whatever. I'm going to go to that school, and you never let your breacher grow as a skill set.
Yep.
Instead, as a leader, you're like, I'm not going to go to that school because I want you to be built up. That's opportunity.
Yep.
And they get better skills. They get current TTPs, and then they come back and then they brief the team or the squad and they say, hey, this is what we learned. This is what we're going to start doing and stuff like that. So they get the opportunity to build the skills to grow to complete the tasks.
Yeah, and I mean that makes sense, and that kind of goes into my next question. Is you kind of talked about the balance between, you know, being a part of the team and showing that you're doing some of the tasks, and then being able to kind of take that step back to a macro and kind of look at what needs to be done to be completed. Because, you know, in the military, I'm sure, and even in the SWAT team, it's like the guys on the ground are just seeing the pieces, but someone's got to be able to take a step back and see how all those pieces come together. And so how do you strike that balance? And then also, you know, for other leaders who are listening, people who, you know, we have people that own their own businesses that listen to this. I think it becomes a struggle for owners of companies as well with their employees, you know, being friendly and being part of the group versus like also maintaining some semblance of like the role that you are the leader, and they and you know, they at the end of the day, your command is what they've got to follow.
So we look at it and we term it chicken view and eagle view.
Yeah.
Someone's got the chicken view, right? Your little pieces on the ground and stuff like that. And then someone has to have that eagle view,
Yeah.
right? And as you enter structure, so I write this in my book also, I talk about structure. Kids thrive in structure.
Yeah.
We live in structure. Um, and when you have structure in place, there's an understanding by both parties, the leader, and if you want to say the subordinate or the team member,
Hmm.
right? You have a role and a responsibility to perform, and so do they. And then they intertwine. So as long as you keep the understanding that's what someone's got to have that eagle view to talk to, your sergeant or your chain of command, and or shift focus of a task where they perform the tasks and their freedom to do what they need to do. And
Yep.
if you lose that structure, that's where things become a problem, and you become too friendly, and you can still be friendly with your team members or your coworkers and stuff like that, but there has to be a structural understanding of your role, my role, our role.
Yep.
Because we're all doing it for the same reason. If we work for a company, we want to produce profit for the company. We want to push mass information or a mass product out so we can sell stuff. Everyone has a role in the big win. If you lose the big win role for everyone, it becomes isolationist and me's. And I want it for me. I want this for me. I want this for me. And then you start getting those fragments off, and it doesn't mesh very well.
And how do you define those roles? Is that like just a spoken thing, or do you create like written role identification stuff for people, or how do you go about that?
Most of the time, that whatever, like me, is if I'm just a worker in a corporation, I interview and I start to begin to understand the roles already. They're already laid in place.
Yep.
If I go in the military as a private, I get really embedded in me the role that I need to be in. And I see the structure change along the way as you grow up into sergeants and stuff like that.
Yep.
The same thing with the SWAT team or anything else. There's already roles defined.
Yep.
But this is the one thing that I will tell new guys coming on. As they come on, I tell them, hey, I have no value in seeing you below me. I need you beside me.
Yeah.
Once you make someone give someone the opportunity, and then you make them feel that they're part of something, dude, your job's easy. I mean,
Yeah.
they just take off. I mean, you could do that across the board at work sites, teams, whatever. You give them the opportunity and make them feel like they're important of something.
Yeah.
You're good. So I just give them that little brief that I need to look left and right. I want you to be able to solve problems on our level, not below me, because I have no value of you being weaker than me or being below me.
And I love that. And I think that a lot of successful corporations have that same idea, and give people ownership and ability to, have some sort of leadership role, even, leadership from the bottom, leadership from the back, and leadership from the top, and I've even seen some corporate structures, which are really cool, where they do almost a reverse pyramid, where they put the leader on the bottom, and that guy's got to hold everybody up, instead of like him being on the top of that leadership pyramid, because he's the base and foundation, but all of the other people are the ones that are more important in the role. And it sounds like, you've got a cool system for that as well. Yeah. So switching gears here a little bit. I think you have a little bit of a background on me, but I'm actually a doctor of physical therapy and exercise scientist. And I specialize in sports and orthopedics, and I work with a lot of, we call you guys tactical or combat athletes, because that's essentially what you guys are athletes, because you've got a very unique set of tasks that you ask your body and your mind to do on a daily basis. And I think that there's some specific training and care for your body that's necessary. And, I heard from our mutual connection here that you've got a pretty extensive history of injuries and things that you've gone through personally, and then that you are pretty diligent in taking care of yourself as well. So just briefly tell us a little bit, you don't have to get into detail if you don't want to, but tell us a little bit about the stuff you've been through. And then I'm interested to hear about what your daily and weekly routine is for fitness, wellness, injury prevention, or any other health related things that you do to keep yourself, because you're obviously a really fit guy. If people take a look at the video, most people would just be on audio. But Steve is extremely fit, muscular, looks like he's in great shape. So I think, it's apparent that you're taking care of yourself very well.
Yeah. So through the Army and SWAT, I've had 17 surgeries. I've had 4 knees. That's 2 of the ACLs. I've had 2 prosthetic hips, completely redone. One at 42, one last year at 40, 49 or 48. I've had 5 shoulder surgeries. I've had a C6, C7 ruptured disc, and so I got a titanium plate on my vertebrae. and I just had 2 carpal tunnel surgeries. So I've been beaten up over the years. I wish people like you were in my life when I was younger and I knew how to lift.
Yeah.
And it was just all muscle, grit, and grind and mental.
Yeah.
And force your body into submission to get something done versus how I raise my girls now. So with us and all of those surgeries, I've always believed in the ability to keep the body moving and build fluidity so you don't get stoved up. With my girls being so competitive, me and my wife and my girls are in the gym literally 2.5 to 3 hours every single night.
Yeah.
And that's not hardcore lifting. It's skills, it's rolling, it's conditioning, it's various stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did a little bit of Olympic weightlifting. I came back to my team and I was like, hey, I think we've been lifting wrong all of our lives. I had no idea how to move a bar.
Yeah.
And I've been doing CrossFit since 2005.
Yeah.
Once I learned that, and then building and coaching my daughters up to the point where we had to get them an actual coach for skills, I keep the mindset piece for my daughters. But I learned a lot along the way. And so we do all kinds of different things every single night. They follow a program, and then I follow the WODs on the board and stuff like that. But I do it a lot smarter now.
Yeah.
And I realized to myself, I don't need to deadlift 500 pounds. I just don't.
Yeah.
So I want to stay healthy. And I started to do a mental shift focused as far as where I wanted to be. And it was lost all that raw, super big strength. And I wanted to be sustained in a fight or something for a very long time. So I needed that cardio piece and muscle endurance that could hold on for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that's what we've seen really just generally for everybody in a shift. There was an era where, it was like weightlifting was just like clang and bang and just beat your body up. And now, people have become a lot more smart to it. The science of recovery has come a long way. You mentioned foam rolling. Is there any other things you do as far as like recovery to help with all the stuff that you're doing? Because I'm sure you're also kind of getting some work in. SWAT gear is not light. A lot of the training for that is not easy on your body. And being a breacher as well. There's a certain stress of that, and then along with all the lifting and stuff. Is there anything you do specifically for recovery?
So we do everything naturally. So with supplements, we take beet juice, we take potassium and sodium pills, and sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's harder for us being on call out all the time, but I really enforce that on my girls. Is the best thing is recovery is sleep.
Yeah.
Never got a lot of that in the Army. So you were up and moving quite a bit in the Army, and all the stuff that we would do in the Army. But here now, I try to do. We don't follow a dietary program.
Yeah.
They check their macros here once a week and stuff like that. But we just try to eat whole food. We raise our own beef, so it's lean.
Yeah.
So sleep, and then we just try to do massage, acupuncture, and chiropractor. And I've been doing that rotation for over 10 years.
Yeah.
The acupuncture, massage, and chiropractor.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. It's always nice to have like a team like that, and that's why, when I work with guys like you, I always tell people, you're essentially, you guys are athletes and you got to treat your bodies as such. And, I work with some NFL guys on the Seahawks, and that's the same idea, right? Like they've got a team of people around them. They've all got their acupuncturist, their physical therapist, their massage therapist. And you don't have to be, rich to do that, but definitely if you want longevity and, you've been in a physical career for a long time and you've had some injuries, but it's good to hear when people like take that aspect seriously. And I think the sleep, obviously, that's a good point you made too. And sleep science is obviously coming a long way. And I think, you were in the military for what, you said 6 years. And that was a while ago, right? Like that was, and I think
6.
yeah. think things have changed too, which is good, where, you know, they're getting a little bit more smart about their training. Their PT is not always just like destroy guys. And then, you know, cause they realize that they're assets, they're, you know, they're making an investment into people. And same with the SWAT team, right? I'm sure you guys view it that way too. There's a lot of money and time spent in training people. And so you want to take care of the guys and keep them going. You know, there's a lot of specific training. I think of when I think of like tactical athletes. What do you focus on mainly right now to train to be a breacher and part of the SWAT team? Is there any key areas that people in your position should be doing?
Well, when you look at the makeups of teams, you've got your thinner guys that could be your runners. You have your bigger guys that can bench press 325 pounds. I mean, you have a cross gamut of guys' physical abilities,
Yeah.
but they all come together and perform a task. So, as a breacher, you look at what are your tasks that you need to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you build yourself to complete those tasks.
Yeah.
Most everything that you do is going to be able to build because guys are athletic. They're going to be able to do that.
Yep.
Some guys just do a different approach. So they do individual training programs. Some like CrossFit, some don't like CrossFit.
Yep.
And as long as they're doing some level of fitness to perform the task, they're getting the task completed. So I reach out and I try to find everything I possibly can to for better movement, less pain. I
Yeah.
was in Nigeria for 2 weeks, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Ed Begarin. Great dude. He's an old Delta guy, and he got hooked up with Dr. Romanoff for the pose method of running.
Yeah.
He's a master instructor for him. And I just emailed Romanoff's daughter, who does the marketing for pose method of running, and I've completely switched how we run, how my daughters run. And again, I wish I knew that stuff when I was in the Army running.
Yeah.
Changed everything for us.
Are you bringing that stuff to your team guys right now? Are you trying to impart some of that stuff? Because that was going to be my next question. Is, you know, we work with some of the younger tactical guys and guys who are just getting going, and you know, you're a vet in the field and you've obviously learned from mistakes. It sounds like. What advice do you have for some of those younger athletes coming in?
So like where I'm from, I got a lot of solid dudes, man. I mean, they're free thinkers on their own, and
Yeah.
they're all more vets. So we think a lot across the spectrum.
Yep.
It just depends on the atmosphere where the new individual comes from. If you get a guy from the military, they have a little bit of they have more understanding of their body and their mindset. If you grab someone from just college that thought it would be great to be like maybe on a SWAT team, and they've been a cop for 4 or 5 years, they might have a little less understanding. And usually, when you become part of something in a group, and you see a bunch of what you deem maybe stronger people ahead of you, you want to be there also. So you'll show initiative and drive to get there. And then there's guidance along the way. Someone just comes up and asks you, it's like, hey, what do you do for what do you take for a pre-workout? I go, we don't. We just take beet juice.
Yeah.
It's all natural, you know. Really? Like, yeah. So they're taking the chemical stuff and they're like, oh, and then they'll shift focus from that because it's an idea. So it's just those little intermittent talks and stuff like that. But it really comes down to the individual that wants to be better. They'll ask those questions.
Yeah. And when you guys are looking at new guys coming onto the SWAT team, are you know, I think about like, you know, like go back to football because I work with a lot of football guys. You know, everybody's got their position and they're all built differently. Do you guys place people on the team based on like physical attributes and things like that, or is it not like that?
So for our team, we look at multiple different things, and we have each guy that individually can watch a candidate. I have my own personal views of what I specifically look for, and physicalness is a part of it, and other tasks that we give them do, and then we do an oral board stuff. So there is a physical piece to it, but it's not all physical because we're not looking for one-dimensional people. Like you're super in shape, but you're dumb as a rock.
Yeah.
I really use that. You know what I mean? So I want to be able to have a thinker, a doer, a task completer that's physically fit, that can shoot, that can do multiple things. We need like a three-dimensional guy.
Yeah. And that definitely makes sense. And then it also makes sense why a lot of guys do CrossFit, because that's also the same idea of CrossFit is like, it's very like, well-rounded. You're not just a power lifter who can deadlift 500 pounds, but you can also run a mile and then do a ton of pull-ups and then go run another mile. It's like, so that's kind of like the same idea of that, which is interesting. Do you guys do any like group get together as a team and work out? I think about like, me and my team, we work out together, or we try to, just to develop like that cohesive and unified team feeling. Do you guys do anything specific like that, or anything really else that to create a unified and cohesive team within you guys?
Yeah, we do it. We did it the other day at training. We each had to push a Tahoe a mile.
Oh
So
man.
each squad had a Tahoe. We pushed a Tahoe a mile. Sometimes we'll put caving ladders up and we'll do climbs to the top, squads, and we do little squad competitions.
Yeah.
And it's that same reason that you just said. It's that cohesive camaraderie, esprit de corps, together groupness. So yeah, we do that often enough,
Yeah.
and
What,
time allows stuff like that. Whatever training content we're covering.
for sure. And it seems like obviously it'd be beneficial to as a SWAT team to be like the most unified team ever. You got to like kind of know what the other guys are thinking around you. Is there anything else you guys do as far as like team building? I know that, maybe this will be a good segue to jump in and talk about what you're doing with targeted motivational engagement. I don't know if you guys do anything like that, but I always like to hear about what people do as far as like team building and things like that.
So for team building is connectivity with each other, like being close together, uh, common tasks, stuff like that. So we're spread across different core groups. So we have breachers, recce, our tech guys, and then our medics. And each 1 month they get to go out and they get to do their specific thing.
Mhm.
They build within their little core group camaraderie and stuff like that by doing that. And then we come together the other 3 days a month and we train as a team. Um, it's constantly pushed in there that reliability, it's the same thing as the military, confidence in the guy next to you, that they have the ability to do what you need to do. I'll take it a very simple example is room clearing, right? One guy goes left, one goes right. I need to trust that you're going to go right when I go left,
Yeah.
right? You build that through repetition. And so there's failures in training. The idea behind a failure is the same thing I tell everybody is you just try not to make the failure habitual. If there's a
Yeah.
habitual failure, someone's not connecting and someone's not learning.
Yeah.
And there's ownership both sides, the instructor and the individual. So
Yeah, I think that's obviously important. You got to trust the guy is going to go the right way, but also that they're going to be able to complete their tasks, because I think that's where, a lot of like micromanagement happens on leadership roles, but then also like guys stepping out of their role to try to complete someone else's task. That happens a lot on the field for athletes as well. So that's an interesting aspect. And you mentioned like ownership and stuff like that. And I like Jocko. Are you familiar with Jocko? Yeah, so I love his book, Extreme Ownership. Tell me what your thoughts are on ownership and how you guys instill that in your members, in your team.
so as guys come on, it's built in ownership. We have AARs, after actions reviews, and once you kind of get away, you learn tidbits across your spectrum of your career, and you get away from correcting the individual and correcting the problem.
Yeah.
So if you did something wrong, I can dig you in the dirt, and I can make myself look good by just digging you in the dirt in front of the dudes, right? And the only thing we get out of that is I feel more powerful than you because I dug you through the dirt.
Yeah.
But if you change the focus of how do we fix the problem, because the problem really exists for the entire team, not the individual.
Mm-hmm.
If you get into fixing the problem and not the individual will get fixed along the way because you're fixing the problem for the team.
Yeah.
Right. You start to get away from that that dirt digging on guys and stuff like that. And I've seen it a lot over the years with other teams and stuff. And we used to do it when I first came on. It was just point out the bad on the one guy and laugh at him, and nothing ever gets fixed. So some of the terms that we use, and you got to understand, like my team specifically, because I can speak to it. We have a lot of good dudes.
Yeah.
And a lot of powerful dudes, a lot of good thinkers, good ideas. And so that makes everyone else's job a lot easier when you have common-minded people with you.
Yeah.
Because they don't get there by just mistake. They're selected and they're picked to be there. So you get into the whole aspect of relying on each other. And realizing that you're really there to breed thinkers.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of law enforcement nowadays, they talk about, oh, you got to shoot someone and work out to be on the SWAT team. Well, that's cool. I want a thinker.
Yeah.
I want someone to be able to think through a crisis and not just, muscle their way out of it.
Yeah.
So we started that methodology a while ago, and we're doing pretty good. And that just drives ownership in our AARs and stuff like that. And your team atmosphere will really drive that ownership.
Yeah.
And believe me, it's hard to stand in front of 25 dudes and say, "Well, bad, that was me. I messed up."
Yeah.
If you get away from digging them in the dirt and you start moving towards the problem or fixing the problem, you're on your way.
Yeah, I think that could be applied to all areas of life as well. As like, I like that after action report, kind of looking back and kind of seeing where being objective, just saying, hey, these are where the mistakes were made. This is what we need to fix. Let's go forward instead of beating someone up from it. And I think, it sounds like also you've done a good job of just creating the environment, because obviously people are like the people they're around. And so if you've got a team full of guys who like to, degrade each other, then that's going to be the culture and everyone's going to do it to fit in. But it sounds like you've done a really good job of creating the opposite culture where it's like, hey, let's not point fingers. Let's just figure out what we need to do to be better the next time. Because it doesn't matter if you fail, I fail. And that's a cool position to be in.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't take all the credit because it's the methodology of the team. So there's a lot of dudes that push that, and I carry on with what they do, and we kind of crossbreed on each other. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to be part of a group of dudes that are like-minded, because they all want the same thing. They want to strive for success.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's such an important thing to have, especially in the position that you guys are in and doing what you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis. Last little thing, I just, maybe just talk a little bit about what you do with targeted motivational engagement is it with businesses and stuff like that, and help out like youth. It sounds like, you've done some stuff with some youth groups and things like that. So just talk about a little bit about that.
I started it about, I think, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
As a cop, I'd always stay on calls and talk to teenagers and stuff and people. And my wife's like, "You need to start a business." And
Yeah.
like, "Oh." She's like, "Yeah." So it branched into, I don't come to you, say you have 6 employees and you want team ownership. And I'll go talk about team ownership because I can talk to that. So I don't come in and say, "Hey, my name is Steve. I had 17 surgeries. Woe is me." And it give you a lot of fluff. I hate fluff. So nothing really gets fixed if I come in or you come in and you lie to your people. Be direct and be honest with them. People appreciate that. So I look for more what the end user wants, and then I deliver what the end user wants. So it's very specific. I've done colleges, I've done high schools, I've done a lot of individuals, a parent, child. I do a lot of those. I just picked up another client this weekend for next week for things that they want fixed in their life. And I approach it very simply. And I say, "Give me the 3 top things that you want fixed." And we look for actionable things, not theoretical things. Theoretically is great for planning, but it stops there, and action turns the world, theory doesn't. So, and I try to get that person engaged with themselves and their own ability, because I mean, we invented light bulbs. We landed on the moon. Human nature can do incredible things, but you just got to believe that you're in the right place to do it, and you can do it. Once you believe that, you're on your own. And I wrote a book, and everything I teach and talk about to schools and colleges and individuals, this is how I raise my family. We do AARs every single night. We talk a lot. My girls do very well. My youngest just took first in the world for the Junior Cup and International Federation of Fitness.
Wow.
My other daughter's on the USA Functional Fitness team. They're probably going to go to Australia next year and compete in the Worlds.
Wow.
They do the CrossFit Open. They do the Can West Games. They're competitive. So, and it's a strive for a long-term goal to be in the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
If the short-term goal is just to crush their bodies right now to get them in the teen division, that's about how long they'll last. But if I have a long-term goal, then they'll stay that longevity, and they'll keep those traits that we talked about earlier, as far as like rest and supplements and healthiness and longevity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's really cool. Congrats on them being so successful with that, and that's exciting to kind of see. And I know as like a future father here, I've got my first child on the way. That's something that I'll strive to as well. Just real quick, I want to just touch back on something you just said because I think it's interesting and something that like anyone listening can do. What does an after action report look like for in a family setting? Like I could imagine like what a military like police one would look like, what happened, write it down and figure out, where to go on. What does that look like in your family setting? And how do you like, administer that? And then, where do you go from there on a, like, how do you use it on a day-to-day basis?
so pick the topic. Um, you know, a simple 2115-9 wad of um, it didn't go right.
Yeah.
Something just wasn't right. So what you look for is ownership of the individual to tell them to start it. So I'll use my youngest daughter and I'll say, what happened? And look for honesty.
Mhm.
What went on? Well, I couldn't do my pull-ups. And if you start seeing excuses, stop the excuses right away. If you build your team or your kids with the understanding that it's not emotional, it's factual,
Yeah.
then it can be fixed. So we just talk about, okay, so how do you get better? They have the solutions and everyone knows the answer,
Yeah.
right? But you use, as a parent, you use your experience and then you don't lie to them.
Yeah.
And I've told my girls ever since they were real little, I will never lie to you, but I will never make fun of you.
Yeah.
There's a difference. I will tell you how to become better and I will do everything I possibly can to make you better, but I will never make fun of you and put you down.
Yeah.
So if she failed, I don't know, if she came off the bar when she shouldn't have on the 9 pull-ups and then her score was lower than what she anticipated, could have you stayed on the bar for 9? And I will look for their answer. And their answer is, well, I think, and we don't deal in thinks because you do, right? So, and I let them know that they've always had the physical ability to do something. It's the mindset that says, hey, I feel a little bit of pain right now. Let's just stop and come off the bar and rest. So
Yeah.
it's a needed rest versus a wanted rest,
Yeah.
and then we just break things down and it's across the board. It's schoolwork. So I've told them when they started CrossFit spans the whole spectrum of life because we talk about all areas of life. They do very well in school because that's a huge thing for us.
Mhm.
They do very good in CrossFit because it's a huge thing for us. They do tasks at home because it's a huge thing for us because it's a family business.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
then your family is your kid's first team. That's
Yep.
their first introduction into structure and an actual team
Yep.
with mom and dad as leaders that are equaled, not offset. When you have that offset, that's where kids find the gap and shoot through.
Yep.
So I talk about it in my book.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
writing
that's
my
awesome.
second book.
And for everyone who's interested, you guys can pick up that book over on, I saw it on Amazon. Is that the best place to get it? It's called Your Greatest Investment: Raising Strong Kids Through the Family Foundation. Is that the best place to get it? Amazon?
Yeah, that's where I have it now. We're writing a second book now for competitive mindset in your kids. And
Awesome.
we'll probably be done first quarter of next year, but I have a publisher for that one.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. That sounds like something I'll definitely pick up for some parenting in the future. And then anywhere else you want to send people? I know you have 3, like the number 3 arrow TME is like your social, and then your website is also the same as right? Is
So the 3-Arrow TME on Instagram, what you
Yep.
see there is that's my business page.
Yep.
And
We'll
I
link
don't
that up in the show notes as well.
I don't put my clients' information, but I talk about it through my girls.
Yep.
So it's usually a lot of family stuff, but it's issues that I talk about constantly with them and or other people.
Yep.
My wife runs our apparel page. The 3-Arrow shirt or gear or their hats.
Yeah, that's a slick shirt. What is the 3 arrows? What does that signify?
So the 3 arrows are basically everything we have is trademarked for the 3 arrows are my girls and I'm the bar. So
Nice.
it's a family core foundation, strength, individual strength, and extreme competitiveness.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I've really appreciated your time. We'll link up all your stuff in the show notes so people can get all of this, maybe get some gear or get the book definitely. And then we'll look out for that next book. Sounds like a really awesome subject as well. Appreciate you taking the time and thanks for jumping on the podcast.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.